Hello, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. And in today's video, we're going to look at how to create a lambda function. And this lambda function that we're going to create, we're going to make sure we're going to create a simple one, not the one that we're going to use a VPC. So this is going to be a simple lambda function. And as sure, if you might not know, lambda function is used to write. It's like an EDL for writing code or script. So that is what we're going to use. And this is um, an AWS function. So now we're going to, after doing a lambda function, we're going to learn how to create permissions, add permissions to roles. So we're going to create a role and add a permission to it because lambda function would need that to communicate with other resources. For instance, if you want to communicate with SageMaker, you will need to create a role that will work with SageMaker or Lambda function to work with S3, you will need that. So for every resource that you want to use on AWS, you would need to create a role to be able to communicate with that kind of between two resources. So now we're going to start by going to Lambda function. After that, we will go to the IAM role to also create our. Well, before even that, let me just open another window for IAM. So this is the IAM role. You can, this is where you can create your IAM role. You can search for it here like this, and it will pop up. You can save it, like click on the star to actually save it as favorite. So now we're going to create a function. We can go to the dashboard. As we go here, we can see there's no, I don't think I've created any function yet. So we're going to create a function. Yeah, so we're going to start from scratch. We are not going to use a container. We're going to start from scratch. So my function name, I'm going to use test. Then there are a lot of programming languages that you can look at. So you have Java, you have Node4j, JavaScript, you have Ruby, Amazon Linux. So I'm going to use Python. So I'm going to use Python for this, but I'm not going to use the latest version of Python. I'm going to use 3.10. That is what I'm going to use, and I'm going to use the Windows version, not the ARM 64. I'm going to use the 86-64. So imagine if I have created a role, all I have to do, I can create a role, automatically create a role, or I can have an existing role that has already been created. But right now I don't have any role. So after creating the function, or I can just create a role right now, then use it, or I just use an automatic one. It's just going to create a role for me. And let's say if I have VPC, I can enable the VPC, and it will tell me to choose which VPC that I can use. So I can choose to use the default one, which AWS created for me. Then I can choose the subnet, any of them, since AWS created it on their own. In some organizations, you have them created it for you that you can actually use it. So you can just click on this, click on that to choose which one you want to use. And the security group, you can just most of the time use the default one, default security group. So you can use this if you want, but here we are not going to enable it because it's going to work on its own. We don't need to create a VPC to have internet access. So as I already said, we're going to have create our own Lambda function is going to, or AWS is going to create a role for us. After that, I'll show how to create the role yourself. So now all we need to do, we have started the runtime that we need to use for the editor. So we just have to hit create function. Okay, so we now have our lambda function created. We can look at our functions, and we have test dash test created. Now we can go in there and see how it looks like. Now we can go to our text editor. We have this. Now let's see if this function actually works. So we can just um, let me just leave it this way. Let me just add something to it. Like let's say hello from lambda function. I can just add maybe this to it so that it prints it. Now, anytime you make any changes to it, you need to deploy it. Then after deploying it to update it, then you can hit test. But here, most of the time, most people do test to create a test event. Then you can just save it. Now let's see if we run this, it will print hello world with a dash 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 right there. Test, and it printed it out. So the lambda function works. So this is how you create your lambda function. In subsequent videos that I'll be doing, we'll be doing how to add a trigger to it. It means when you want to automate the whole process, you add a trigger to it, and we will be doing how to add a layer also. A layer is when you want to add Python packages to your lambda function. Like you want to add pandas to it, I'll make a video on how to do that. Now we can actually go to how to create um, a row. So now when you go to IAM Role dashboard, the IAM dashboard, you can just go to rows. These are some of the rows that we have. So this is the row that was created for me today. This is the one that I created, Lambda created for me because it has the name attached to it because I had test. But imagine I want to create a new one. What I have to do is to hit on the create row. I will use AWS services, or you can do custom trust policy, but I'm going to use the AWS service, and I'm going to choose a base. So I'm going to use the lambda function as a base. Just scroll down a bit. So I'm going to use the lambda function as a base. Then I will hit next. Now this is where you add your permissions. So let's say I want to add S3 to it. What I have to do is to type S3, and I can see S3 full access. That's what I want. I want to add SageMaker to it. You can search for SageMaker, and you can look for SageMaker full access. You can add it to it. Yeah. So, and remember, if you enabled VPC, you will need to look for lambda function, um, lambda, and you have to look for the VPC for lambda. So this is it. So you will need to add this to it in your permissions so that you can actually be able to use your VPC that you added to it. So since I didn't add the VPC, I don't need to add it to it. Yeah. Some people would want also to add the administrator full access to have access to everything, one giant permission to everything. But this is just an example that we wanted to show. So now you can go next. Now the role name, since it's, I don't need any naming convention, so I'll just put let's say test one. Let me make it test 111. Then I can just hit create row. Now I have test 111 row created, and when I click on this, it will have the permissions I added in there. And you can also delete it if you want. I just created one. If I want, I can just delete, click here and hit this to delete it. All right. So this is all that we're going to do today. New videos will be coming up very soon. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe and like and share the videos to other AWS users. It's not only AWS that we're going to do. We're going to do a lot. Everything data science, everything machine learning, everything data engineering. We're going to do that. So the videos will start coming up very very soon. But this is something that data engineering, data science, or machine learning on AWS is what we starting with. We'll be doing NiFi. We'll be doing Apache Airflow also. So stay tuned. Thank everybody for watching this video.